What's up, guys? Big news in the Counter-Strike world today as Dignitas has unveiled their new Counter-Strike lineup made up of the Ninjas in Pajamas Quartet Original Core 4. The only one missing is Fryeburg, but don't worry, he's sticking around as the coach for the team. And then Halzerk, a young Norwegian opper, 19 years old, has a lot of potential, and they're hoping to cultivate that with the experience that the other four bring into this lineup. So in this video, I kind of wanted to go over some information that I had already or just recently published in an article for vpesports.com. You can go to it. I'll link it down below. And it's basically just what do we know about this team so far. It's information that they provided, rather than the announcement or a YouTube video that was done between Michael Prindeville, the CEO of Dignitas, and Fryeburg, as well as information that I then received via comment from Heather Sapphire Grazzo, who is the VP of marketing at Dignitas. So what do we know? We know the roster. It's going to be Forrest, Fryeburg, Exist, Get Right, and Halzerk, coached by Fryeburg. So again, you got Forrest, Fryeburg, Exist, and Get Right being the core four from that original NIP lineup that came into CSGO and dominated, went 87-0 and won the ESL 1 Cologne 2014 major. Fryeburg was also a member of that team as their fifth, and it is important to note that while with the team, he served as somewhat of a duo in-game leader along with Exist, so he has some experience there, and actually did a decent amount at a certain stage. He almost fully took over that role for a portion of time, to my understanding. It is a very experienced roster, as we touched on before. They've had great runs throughout history, whether it's in this game or previous games. I mean, the likes of Forrest and Get Right are some of the two most well-known players in all of Counter-Strike, dating back from 1.6. And then you have to think about, how did they end up on Dignitas? How did this roster come to be? And we have two different timelines with that. We have one timeline where Fryeburg kind of is talking with Fryeburg, who says, hey, I kind of want to come and coach a team with you on it. What do you think? Fryeburg goes, yeah, that sounds cool. What about Exist? So then they go to Exist, and then they're piecing this team together. And at this point, they don't actually think they can get Forrest. That's stated by Fryeburg in the video. That they thought there's no way they're getting him from Ninjas in Pajamas, but they're hunting around for an organization. They're reaching out to multiple. At the same time, you have Michael Prindeville, you have Heather Sapphire Grazzo, and you have the League of Legends general manager, James Baker, traveling to different Counter-Strike events searching for a team. So they're both hunting two different timelines, but they finally get in contact with one another. And from that point forward, from what I was told, it was like a perfect fit that began to roll. So some other important information is that the team will not be relocating here to the States. They will actually be playing in Sweden, where they are right now. They are currently boot camping in Sweden. This is their first official week of practice, from what I was told. And as of now, and this should be somewhat of a surprise, the roles are not set. The only one that is actually is that Halzerk will be the team's operator. Even the in-game leader role isn't set yet. Everybody just assumed Exist is taking that role. That is not the case as of now. With the experience that they have on this roster and the fact that a player like Fryeburg actually has some leadership experience, he was the backup caller for Heroic, they have options. I mean, between Get Right and Forrest, Fryeburg, Exist, I mean, these guys have a lot of experience. They've had experience playing different play styles, and honestly, any of them may be able to do something with that role, although there's going to certainly be people who are better at it. So, we've already touched on Forrest, was not originally part of the puzzle. Now we're going to talk about Get Right. You know, there are a lot of question marks around him. A lot of the community has kind of written him off as like he should have probably retired. Well, Fryeburg does not agree with you guys whatsoever. And, well, I'm kind of optimistic too. Fryeburg stated in the video with Prindeville that, and I quote, "You have a player that has been the best player in the world for several years. A guy like that doesn't just drop off the face of the planet. It doesn't happen." He believes that that player that we all know and grew to love as one of the most legendary players in Counter-Strike is still there somewhere, and they plan to bring him out here in Dignitas. So, what can this team hope to accomplish? Well, right away, probably not too much. I do think that they could probably already go to like a DreamHack Open and compete really well, maybe even win it. But getting into that tier 1 level, I think that's going to take some time. I think that they have to find their identity and what that is. And as we now know, with them not even having a in-game leader set yet, they're kind of far off from finding that identity. So it's going to take some time. But I am hopeful, I'm optimistic, given the players on this roster. If you've been following Counter-Strike for a really long time, it's kind of hard not to be, right? It's very nostalgic to have these guys back together. And so I'm hopeful for the future, and I want to know what you guys think. So down in the comments below, let me know, do you think that this was a good move for Dignitas to pick up this roster? And who do you think can really continue to shine? Who do you think isn't going to be able to keep up? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. Also, you can always follow me on Mixer at mixer.com/HardwareTV. Make sure to thumbs up, subscribe.